Absolute Tactics: Daughters of Mercy is a tactical RPG set in a medieval world. Once upon a time, tactical RPGs were almost exclusive to Japan. For some reason, the games never became popular in the US and Europe. But that was a long time ago. Today, the situation is different. For those who want to find this type of game, Nintendo's eShop offers a plethora of different tactical RPGs. Perhaps a change in accessibility has contributed to these games being able to reach a new audience. And now another one is released. Absolute Tactics is a light-hearted game that contains many elements that define a tactical RPG. You have your heroes, you have to eliminate the forces of evil, the fights are turn-based, and in this case the narrative is relatively light, despite the occasional beheading. The game is available from September 15 and costs $25 in Nintendo's eShop. Feel free to subscribe to my channel, I review new Switch games every week. You use 6 heroes. They have different strengths and weaknesses. One works as a tank, others have good ranged attacks, and of course some are good in melee range. It's a classic mix of characters that are all necessary in different situations. In the game you can buy different weapons, helmets, armor and books. You find new items the further into the game you play, so it can be an advantage to examine all the stages carefully. There are secrets everywhere. In addition, there is a shop that sells both armor and potions, which might be necessary for survival. What is a bit of a shame is that the hub only consists of a few static screens. It would have been more fun if you could use your troops and go around to different shops and so on, just like the battlefields, but with shops instead. But this is not the case. This is the story of Huxley and his mission to eliminate the evil Father Eldritch and his insane daughters. Father Eldritch's troops are on the hunt for a fallen daughter, and they are merciless. Innocent farmers are put to death. No one walks around safely. What will Huxley discover? Will he find the fallen daughter and succeed in putting a stop to Father Eldritch's plans? Of course, I don't want to reveal or spoil anything, but the narrative is both light-hearted, slightly comical, but sometimes downright brutal. Beheadings occur and some blood can be seen occasionally. This is good. But what is entertaining is that the game contains many dramatic cutscenes. They are not very long, but set a tone for each mission. This may not be a revolutionary story, but it takes some interesting turns that are unexpected. This is a turn-based game where troops are moved strategically in order to knock out the opponent. The battles take place on a defined surface or map. In a turn, a hero can be moved, attack with regular attacks, use a skill or item. The enemies are either weak to normal attacks or a skill. This can be seen through the small box in the bottom right corner. In this way, you get information that reveals how an enemy should be treated. For example, you should use a normal attack against an enemy that takes a lot of damage from just normal attacks. It can be especially challenging if you manage to attack several enemies at the same time, but they have different weaknesses. Which attack should you choose? A regular attack or a skill? This combat system is basically very easy to use, and what makes the fights reasonably interesting. This may mean that you have to think and be tactical. Wrong decisions can have disastrous consequences, that you die and have to redo the whole map. The question is this an entertaining game? Most stages have something of their own that makes everything a little more interesting. For example, healing a knocked player before it disappears, destroy crystals to remove barriers, or destroy barrels to interrupt rituals. But in the end, it's usually about knocking out all opponents. It gets a bit monotonous in the long run, especially considering that a battle can go on for a long time. I played maps that were clocked at an hour and a half, but I still think that the developers have created a game that offers a certain variety. This is actually good. In addition, you can choose to play optional missions. This is not that different from playing in story mode. You still have to slaughter enemies on a game board. But it's a good way to find valuable items, get money and level up. Yeah, of course your characters can be developed with the existing level up system. Every time a player kills or damages an enemy, they gain experience. Eventually you level up, and that can of course be very useful because the enemies become stronger and more dangerous the further into the game you go. As I said, the levels get longer and bigger the further into the game you get. They can also contain a lot of enemies, which can mean several battles. This map contains about 20 enemies. Most of the time they are positioned so that you can only kill one at a time. Therefore, there is value in checking your skills and which AoE skills that you have available. In addition, you must move your troops manually, one character at a time. You can expect it to take a lot of time, but that is something that is common for this type of game. Rushing through a game like this is very difficult because there are many moments that have to be taken into account. In tactical RPGs, it's often about mastering the map and all aspects of it. For example, find the best and most efficient routes, know which skills are the strongest, how the enemies acts, and how they are most easily eliminated. In Absolute Tactics, all this become clear. If you go around randomly and try to get ahead, you risk losing. On the other hand, if you plan your route carefully and use your troops correctly, you have the opportunity to both win, find valuable items, and clear the maps faster. Here are examples of a map that is both entertaining but also time-consuming. You fight in cooperation with soldiers from the village and face an equally large crowd of opponents. Unlike many other game maps, this one is unique in that it contains no obstacles. Move forward and slaughter everything in your path. Reminds a bit of chess, but with combat. However, there is a problem. You have to watch every NPC's maneuver, both the opponents and the allies. I haven't found any way to be able to skip, but have to see all the actions. It's quite time consuming and a bit boring. It would have been to the game's advantage if you had the option to speed up everything that happens or simply skip, especially what all NPCs do. At least I haven't found such an option in the menu. In some missions there are corrupt villagers. It's possible to kill them, but if you let them live, you get a bonus when the mission is completed. However, I chose to kill them. The reason is simple, they are in the way, take up important space and block roads. If you want the bonus, you leave them alone, but personally I saw little reason to have them there. Away with them. The graphics are varied, you play from an isometric perspective and can also zoom out to get a view of the entire battlefield. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like you can rotate the camera. This would have been desirable to get a visual understanding of the entire map, but there are lots of different environments to explore, and in principle each course has its own style. I really like this. The control generally works well too. It's easy to navigate your squad. The only thing that is a bit strange is that they put end turn in the options menu. Why is it there? It spontaneously feels like it would be easier to reach if it were available together with other functions you usually use. Let's talk about bugs. They exist, and in this game they are very annoying. The first thing that happened to me was that an enemy became untargetable. I couldn't hit it, which meant I had to restart the mission. The second bug happened when you have to light a fire on a barrel. The barrel explodes, the gate opens, and my character is knocked out. The problem? The game froze. I couldn't switch to a new character, but was stuck. Again, I had to restart the mission. So why is this a problem? Well, mostly because you may have gotten a bit into the mission and now have to replay quite a lot. Lost time, lost progress, annoying. But I have been in contact with the developer and they are aware of the situation. In the coming days, a patch will be added that fixes a lot of things, probably also the bugs I discovered. Absolute Tactics is a game that is relatively extensive. I got through it in about 30 hours, but I was in no rush really. Probably it can be done much faster. I feel that it works very well both in handheld and docked. I experienced basically nothing that could be perceived as disturbing, no crashes or slowdown. This is really good actually. I recommend this game to those who want a tactical RPG with many challenges. There are 3 different difficulty levels plus a super challenging mode. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. I review new games every week. Have a great day. See ya!